brought to you by Knights of Awakening. This is the Labyrinth. And we're back. And we've got better sound quality. We've got better video quality. We've got an overall better position to do this. You have my tapestry that my lovely wife did for me with runes and various other things hand-stitched into it. We have 2 Knights of Awakening logos up in the background there. And it's good to be back. I want to thank you all for viewing this. I want to thank you for your time. Without you, we don't exist. The Knights of Awakening exists because of you tuning in, watching, listening, and overall giving us input and feedback. So first, let me thank you. And second, let's hit on our topic of the day for the Labyrinth. It's been a while since we've had a Labyrinth. We're going to be looking at the difference between awakening and initiation. Initiation is a big thing in Western mysticism, and most methods of Western mysticism you're doing are kind of Western. They're actually a mix match of Western methods based on Crowley's work and the Golden Dawn and things of that nature, then hodgepodged in with Eastern methods because we found that mysticism works best with some kind of energy work system. And that is all of the magic that most people are doing. And therefore, since it is so heavily influenced by the Western tradition, a lot of people like the idea of a magical initiation. It's a big part of what they do. The problem with an initiation is that it does kind of require that someone else initiate you in, and there's a lot of talk about self-initiation, and I think that it has its value in both ways. But I've always preferred the concept of awakening, and to awaken to something, you need a calling first. We are the Knights of Awakening, and in order for us to become that, in order for us to be the Knights of Awakening, we had to have a calling first, a need, a drive, a desire that pulled us towards it. And that's just as a calling as it translates into one path. In mysticism, I believe it's even more so, and I think initiation is good when you're in a structured system and you need the initiatory methods, or if you're working with a mentor and they can ease the process in with you, both energetically as well as really physically, in the sense of how it helps you psychologically and how it helps you mentally, accept yourself as this thing. If you're initiating as a shaman or as a wizard or a sorcerer of a certain order, I believe it has value there. And I believe that self-initiation has its own value when you've already got that calling, or when you yourself feel the need to finalize and make that firm in your own mind. But for a lot of people, for myself, the concept of being initiated is kind of weak. It means that I cannot self-affirm without some grand ritual who and what I am. That's not to say I've not done initiation rituals, and it's not to say that I haven't partaken in self-initiation from time to time. But as I've gotten older, maybe a little wiser, I found that the first thing that I deal with is a calling. I'm called to something, and then I have an awakening within it. A moment in which it all clicks and it all works. And that happens after hard work and study and dedication, commitment. I think the best thing that you can do for something like that is ask someone who's went before you to lend you a hand in finding that awakening path, to find a mentor. And there are a lot of people out there that offer both free mentoring and paid mentoring, consultation services and things like that to help you with that. There are a lot of people that are willing to help you for free, and they're a vast and wonderful resource. And I think a lot gets put onto the initiation, especially when you look at groups like the Golden Dawn or the different orders of the this or that. There are so many orders of this or that, and not even all of them are required that you pay. Some of them are not exactly mystical orders. But you've got to jump through someone's hoops before you are recognized as this thing, and it helps you change the dynamic psychologically, emotionally. And there's a place for that. And don't get me wrong, Knights of Awakening will likely one day be a fraternal order. But that's a fraternal order. And what I mean by that is that a lot of these systems, you have the mystical tradition and system, and initiation really doesn't help much except for your standing in it. And then you are welcomed into the brotherhood, the sisterhood. You're welcomed into the hood. Dang, you better have a gun on you. But you're brought into the hood, as it were, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the peoplehood. And you're one of them, one of us, whatever. And that's great. That's fantastic. And it's a sense of community. It helps you define yourself. It helps set up your psychological boundaries as to who you are, what you do. It makes it easier to establish your practice in a single direction. It doesn't really make you any more mystically powerful. What makes you mystically powerful is that awakening moment. An awakening moment is when you've poured enough time and effort and energy into ritual, into ceremony, usually into your own methods. No one knows what my people did for certain, if there was initiation or if it was only through awakening. They may have been chosen by the king. The king may have been the one, the local Jarl may have been like, you look like you would make a good mystic. You will be the one who reads the runes. Or it may have been only those that were handicapped that read them. We don't know. We have so little information, so little evidence, that any claim otherwise is personal dogma and personal methodology, which I'm not here to preach to you. For me, it's about awakening. It's about that moment in which it all works, when you sit down and you find the method that works for you. Most of what I do is a form of shamanism and energy work with a little bit of ritual. A little bit of ritual? How much ritual? Enough to get me focused. I may do a few chants. I may work my way through a mala. I love malas. I think they're the most awesome thing on earth. They're great for counting, and they give you a sense of connection, and it's something in your hand that you're working with. And when you're working through a mala, you just feel grounded to what you're doing. It's just a really pleasant experience. So I may do a chant on a mala, or I may do a focusing exercise. I may vibrate the sound coming from me at a certain resonance. But regardless of what I do, that method combines with the rest of it to give me a focus point for journey and energy work, driving forces of nature into action on my behalf, especially things like talisman creation or conjuration of a familiar. This is a very big part of what I do. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy. There are other methods out there. There are other methods that are more physical, more hands-on, with the mixing of the herbs and with the chants and with the lighting of the candles, and I do some of that. But to me, that's secondary to the energy work in my practice. And that's how I like it. So for me, initiation is not a big part of it, but I do see the value in it. We get to talk a lot about attunements left and right here on the show, and I just recently released attunements as part of our spell services. And I guess it's fair to hit on what a very good friend of mine once said. Nag Loki Shivnath once put it that attunements are the modern-day version of initiation. And I agree, partially with that. Many systems, that is what it is. It's an initiation into the right to use this current, to use this energy, to work in this method. And that's all that it is. And then many other attunements, I feel, are a metaphysical talisman, that they act as an energy talisman that you keep with you spiritually, that you can activate by recalling the symbol, the chant, the phrase, by mentally intoning the will to activate it. And in that, they're a talisman that is less active than a physical talisman and way more active than other talismans. So I like to make that differentiation. I totally agree that many attunements are an initiation, but I think some attunements are more of a talisman. And I think they're a valuable tool. I think turning a spell into an attunement is something that every mystic should learn to do, because it's incredibly useful. It's incredibly viable and functional for you to have that spell available, because you've stored that energy and you've patterned it, you've connected it to the greater source. It flows and swirls and it continues to reproduce itself, and it's there on hand as needed, and it accepts your focus and energy to empower it. I think that is a very powerful tool. That's the shaman in me. Okay? That is the shaman in me. As a side note, we recently did a test at the Rosequartz Labyrinth that was phenomenal. It's a little write-up test that I did that has spurred many cheers and boos and everything in between. And it was meant to be a fun little test, and is actually meant to help me find what I should call myself more frequently, because I don't know. I'm a shamanic sorcerer who does wizardry and root work occasionally. But in it, a lot of people didn't like that they wound up with the healer category, because the healer seeks knowledge over power a lot of times, and it's right on the edge of sorcerer. Like, the two are almost the same thing. I could have actually not put healer in, and no one would have noticed, and we've had a lot more sorcerers come up on that test. I thought it was interesting, though, to see how many people wound up with shaman, which, by my definition, a shaman works with more personal methods, more intuitive methods, way less book work, and a few tools. But not too much. And they do a lot more journey work. And wow, did people, like, an overwhelming number got shaman. And part of that is the modern mystic is walking away from the book knowledge, because we know that it is flavoring. We know that it's a way of doing things a certain way and of putting focus a certain way. So it kind of shocked me, the number of shaman. And then some of the people that wound up with wizard or ceremonial magus as the classification they got from that test, holy crap. You know, I didn't expect a lot of the people that got that to get it. I thought that they would have wound up under the shaman or the sorcerer. It made me open my eyes as to how I do my practices and realize, you know, what it is I do, how it is I do it. Which is neat. It's useful. I plan on a 2.0 version of that test, which is, as our catchphrase comes sometimes here as me under a lot of workload, coming soon. The 2.0 version of that test, I think, will be more beneficial. I hope. It's going to cover different categories, I think. I don't know. I'm working on it. I haven't quite decided the direction I want to take that in. I know I don't want to offend everyone, that's for sure. And I want to apologize to anyone I did offend on that last test. It was meant to be a combination of humorous and helpful, and for fun. And let's face it, I take this stuff seriously too. If I would have gotten, you know, wizard, you know, a book magician, you know, one who learns from systems and incorporates them and uses many systems in that way instead of something shaman or sorcerer like, I'd have been like, oh, how dare they? They don't know me. I don't know me, apparently, because I'm the one who wrote the test. So, I get that. Trust me. No harm meant, no harm taken, I hope. With all of that, this kind of goes in a big roundabout circle to hit on these ideas between initiation. Initiation is a very, very ritual, very ceremonial, very, this is how it has been done and this is how it shall be done mentality. Self-initiation is possible. It's valid. It's viable. It's not my thing. Awakening is the process of when it all clicks and works for you. And initiation and awakening are not always connected. There are thousands upon thousands of initiated Golden Dawn members who are not exceptionally skilled at anything but the Lesser Banishing Pentagram ritual. And yet, I can name easily 10 mystics who have not been initiated into anything, except maybe Reiki for a few of them, who have no initiations under their belt, and would give most people that are initiated a run for their money because they've gotten an awakening. They put so much into it that they had that moment when it just clicked. Everything about the methods they were working with made sense. Some of those people are very by the book, and some are very intuitive. And this gives you an idea of the differences. I think initiation has its value and its place within mysticism. I would hate to see mystical practices lose the initiation methodology. But at the same time, I think awakening is what most people are looking for. And I hope that we continue to help you do that. I highly recommend, if you're new to the arts, find people to talk to. Notice I didn't say, call me up and get a consultation. That can be helpful. Find people to talk to. Get a lot of opinions. Seek others' guidance, but only in so much as it helps you find your path. Your path is the one that's important. You should be going to these people for advisement, for new ideas, for understandings, to get a better view of what it is you're doing. No one should be laying down for you how it is done or what ways to do it. That's my view of the differences, and I hope this helps someone out there. I think it'll help someone out there. It might help someone out there. It's all about awakening in my mind. So as always, awaken the night within.